Hello everyone, welcome to Home of Webo. In today's video, we'll talk about open source, mainly Git and GitHub. So why this video? There are a lot of videos on YouTube. Why this a specific video? So if you want to stand in the first row of the open source crowd, you need to watch this video. There are a lot of videos on the internet. Most of them deals with really command lines or the commands, how to push the code, how to pull the codes. But there are a lot of terminology and a lot of things that goes on open source community. We'll talk about all of them. So let's talk about what topics we are going to cover. We'll cover what is open source and why we should care about, what is Git and GitHub, what are the basic open source terminology. We'll write a Markdown file, we'll create a README file. We'll search for some open source project and we'll do some contributions. We'll use GitHub Desktop to push and pull the code. We'll also use command line. We'll do some live practices, integrate GitHub in VS Code, and we'll also look what is online code space. Some of the events that are organized by open source communities, and we will also see what GitHub page is and what GitHub actions are. For Q&A, you can write in the comment box or you can directly ask by joining my Discord server. What is open source and why we should care about it? This is the first question that you are going to ask me. So open source is like a social media, similar to Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram and Facebook, you share your photographs, your moments. Here we share our code, view others' code, comment, start and see the history of how code evolved over time. Moreover, we can also contribute on others' project. We can find issue in others' project. We can fix bugs and do a lot of things. So why open source? Open source don't just improve your coding skill. It also improve social skill, network skill, and communication skill. Because once you start an open source project, if you are getting contribution from others, you need to talk to them. Or if you're working on someone else's project, you also need to talk to them. It also helps you to understand how to work as a team. Moreover, open source project helps to get better jobs and also help do better at your business. You will find a lot of people, a lot of coder on these platforms. They discover you and you discover them. In future, they may be your employee or they may be your employer. Who knows? Is open source just social coding? The answer is no. There is a lot of things other than coding. There is documentation, there is bug fixing, suggesting improvement, supporting other developers, and organizing hackathons. So how this works? Since GitHub provide a medium where you can check how the code evolved, that way you can decide the result of the hackathons. You can support developer by contributing code or by financial contribution. Moreover, suppose you are seeing a documentation and you find that step 1 is correct, step 2 is correct, and then you find that step 3 is not working. You can raise an issue, and this way social coding works. So now what is Git and what is GitHub? Git is a version control system. So what is a version control system? Suppose you have a file. You made a change today and you made a change tomorrow. So this software tracks which line you have made what changes, and it automatically updates a copy of your file. Okay, suppose you are sharing the files with other programmers. Then if you update your file and then commit, it gets updated on the other system as well. So it is a software for tracking changes in any set of files, usually used for coordinating work among programmers collaboratively, developing source code during software development. What are its goals? What it does? It helps to speed up the work, data integrity, and it supports distributed system. It also helps in non-linear workflow. So what is non-linear workflow? Suppose you are working on a file and the other fellow developer is also working on the same file. So if you are doing something changes, then you need to tell the other that I have done these changes, and then you need to pass your file and then you do the further work. So it might be that while you are working, he might be sitting idle, and that is linear workflow. But you don't want this workflow. You want that you should also work and he should also work. For that reason, we use Git. What is GitHub? If we already have Git, why do we need GitHub? GitHub is built on top of Git. So what does Git does? Whatever the changes are, it either save it locally or over a local area network. If you have built some system to share among the company's employees. But GitHub, what GitHub does is that it is an online tool that hosts code on the cloud. So it stores all the code on the cloud. It is the largest and most advanced development platform. There are a lot of tools that we are going to see in this video. Here you can share privately or publicly code with other people on the team. You don't need to make it public always. You can do it to private. Now we'll talk about some basic open source terminology. I would not guide you through the presentation. Rather, I would like to show you live in GitHub website how to do all these things and what all the things are. So here, as you can see, this is our repository. The name of the repository is Burger Animation, and I have created this repository. So here is my name. So always a repository looks something like this. So here, as you can see, there are tabs, and here is my code. We'll talk about each of the tab one by one. First, let's see what this is. These are all the files, and this is the name of the commit. So I have written here initial commit while committing this. So what are commits? The first question. So commits are the changes. Whatever the change you make, you write a name to it, and that is called commit. So as you can see here, there is a special file called readme.md. This file contains all the information about your repository that you want to show to the visitors. Like here, I have written, this is a simple CSS animation, and I have put a picture. The picture is not clear, but I have given a link to see the demo. So anyone can visit and see the demo. Okay, I will also talk about how to write this README after this slide. Okay, so let's talk about these terminologies. So first question, what is repository? Okay, so repository is like an advanced folder that contains all your files as well as the description of the changes you have made. So here, as you can see, here is the day I have made the changes. So I have made the changes 2 months ago, and so it shows here. Moreover, you can also track the changes, how it evolved. So here you can see there are 4 commits. So you can browse the repository at the initial commit, when the initial commit was made, and you can see how I started this project. Then you can see what I did. I updated readme and then did some initial modification and then I merged branch. I will talk about merging and branching soon. So next tab is issue tab. Here we write issue related to project. So what are issues? Suppose my code is buggy, have some problem, or there is some improvement. They can just write here, like they can click on the new issue and they can give a title to it. Like suppose as I showed you on Redmi, there is an image issue. So I can write it's not rendered properly, okay, and I can leave something comment and then I can submit this issue. So this issue is now open. So this issue will be tracked by the owner or the contributor. They will see what action they can take, what the changes they can make, and if they fix the issue, they will close this issue, or else they will leave some comment and ask other to do so. Next tab is pull request. So what is pull request? Suppose you have copied someone else's code, you made some changes, and now you want to contribute these changes to the original repository. So what would you do? In that case, you have to do a pull request. Pull request is like taking permission from the owner or the collaborator of the project that yes, you want to push this code. So before creating a pull request, we need to first know how to fork a repository. So suppose I have to fork a repository. I will search for that repository. Let's say I have to fork this repository. I will go on the repository and I will click on fork. This will create a copy of the repository on my profile. And now I can make any changes and then I can pull request. Going back to my own repository, now we'll talk about what are actions. So actions are the automated commands or the automated tools that work together with the GitHub. Suppose you want to deploy a website on Azure, Microsoft Azure, then you can use action in that case that does your work automatically. Here I have created a GitHub page that gets automatically deployed as I make any commit. Next, what is projects? So projects is a special feature in GitHub that allow you to assign tasks. You create here different type of to-dos. It is similar to to-do list, but other can see this, other can change this, and other can. Next is wiki. So what is wiki? Wiki is like Wikipedia. It is Wikipedia for your project. All the documentation for the project can be written here. Next is security. Here you will find how to update the security policy, how to set up, and a lot more features. You will also see what are the security policies of the dependencies that you are using in your project. Next is insight. So what this insight is? This insight have all the statistics for your project. Like you can see the issues here. You can see how many there are: merge pull request, open pull request, issues, new issues, and a lot of things. You can also change the period from here and see more of them. You can also see who are the contributors. Next, here is the community. So this shows what you have added. You have added a description, you have added a readme, but you have not added a code of conduct. You have not added a contributing documentation. You have not added a license. Okay, so this shows all this data. Next is traffic. This traffic shows how many visitors have visited this repo and from which site. Here it shows when you have made the last commit. Here this shows code frequency, what you have added or what you have deleted. Since I have done nothing in the last week, so it shows nothing here. Dependency graph shows which are all the libraries that you are using in your project. Finally, all the branches are merged into the main branch after the code inspection by the owner or the contributors. Next is forks. So fork shows how many people have forked these repositories. So what is watching? So as you can see here, it's written one watching. So this is a feature by which people can track or get notified about what changes you are making day to day. You can click on this button to watch a project. Here you have a fork button to fork or copy the project. Here you have a start button where you can it is similar to like on other social media platforms. What if someone is working on your project and you trust him and you don't want to verify all his pull requests? So for that case, you can invite that person on your repository. To do so, you need to go on the settings tab, manage access, and then you need to put your password here. As you can see, here is a person, here's a link where you can add people. So here you should just type their username or email and click. I can just see here is my friend, and I can click on add Jatin267 to this repository. This will send a mail to that person, and that person need to accept. After accepting this, he can commit to my project without a pull request. Now we have seen all the basic open source terminology. Now we will see what is a Markdown file and how to create a README file and an awesome profile. For that, I will be creating a new profile on GitHub. Now here, as you can see, I'm in a private window. I would go to github.com. I would create or click on sign up. Then it would say, welcome, let's begin the adventure. This is really cool. So I will type here my email and then I will click on continue. Okay, so this is fine. Now I can click on continue. Now this one will ask for a username. Now it's saying if you are satisfied, type Y. Please solve this puzzle, or it says to verify yourself. Okay. So this is a puzzle and it's saying which is a spiral galaxy. This one, of course. Now it will ask for a code that is sent to my mail. I will check that code and I will put that code here. So I have put the OTP for that, and then it's asking how many team member will be you working with. So I will be working with 2 to 5 members. Are you a student or a teacher? Yeah, I am a student. and then it will say what a specific feature that you are interested in using. Okay, I will continue for free here, and now it will just start. Okay, it's initializing my dashboard. Now I would like to create a repository where I will have all the information about myself. So as you can see on the profile here, I have nothing here. So I will now create a repository. To create a repository, click on this plus icon and click on new repository. Here I will type the name. So the secret of creating a repository for your profile is to use the same name as your username. We have typed the name. Now we need to make it public. We need to add a readme file and then create this repository. So now we'll look at the basic markdown. To edit this file, you need to click on this pencil icon. Okay, so now I will create a repository. I will just delete all this. Okay, hashtag is used to create headers, heading with one hashtag. So as you can see here in the preview, heading with one hashtag is the largest, that is heading 1, and heading with 3 is the smallest. To create something in bold, we can use double star and this would work. So as you can see, this is in bold. So I need to write a normal text here in order to differentiate it from that one. So as you can see, this is a bold text and this is a normal text. Next, we are going to use some italic text. Okay, so as you can see, this is the italic text. Now we need to see some strike through text. So we'll use this one for strike through. You can also use shortcuts, like for bold, you can use Control B. So this is bold and I can just select this and I can do Control B. This will go bold. To create a list, you use plus and then the name. Let's say this. So as you can see, it's a bulleted list. You can also create a numbered list, and then I can say again, you can use 1 or 2, whatever your choice. You can write here 1 and it will be converted to 2 as it is in an order. See, here is 1, here is 2. So first of all, I have to write something text here. So this is Google link, and here I would add the link to that image to here. So first for that, I will search for the image if it on the internet, or you can upload that file on the GitHub itself. Uh, exclamation mark, and then we have to write our alt text. Okay, and then the link of the. So we have copied the image. Now I can put it here and I can see it in preview. Okay, so it is here. What if you want to create a break line? So to create a break line, just put a blank line here and this will create okay. Next we need to add some quotes. To create a text code, you need to use greater than sign, and then you can just type your text like hello. Okay, let's see. Okay, as you can see here, you can see it's a coded text. Moreover, you can also include quotes here. To include code, you need to use a backtick. So as you can see in the preview, it's formatted here. These are all the markdowns that I'm going to talk about. Okay. So now I have created a small readme files that looks pretty good. And so what I would do is that I would commit this file. To commit, you need to write something like here updated readme. That's fine. Uh, and then I can commit the changes. So now as you can see on my profile, there's a lot of things here. Okay, that's good. Now you can put a picture here, write some your real name. You can add a bio. You can add company, location, website, and a lot more things. What is this? This one is the number of the contribution you made. So I made 4 contribution in the last year. Okay. So what I did 2 commits in one repositories here. And this shows how often I am coding. So this green shows highest number of contribution. This show a little lower. This show a little more lower. And this show the list number of contribution you made. And this shows that you do not have made any contribution on that day. So moving back to my original GitHub profile, I would like to show you what are repositories. So as you can see here, these are all the repositories that I have. There are some private repositories like this one, and there are some public repositories like this one. I can also have some projects here. See all the stars. Here you can see your followers and followings. Here you can see all the highlights about you. Like I'm in developer program of GitHub, and since I am a student, so I have got a pro ID here. Okay, now after Markdown files, now we'll look at how to find open source project, how to filter repos based on languages and other tags. To do so, I will again file here. So okay, as you can see, here's my profile. I can just type here the name and I can search for the repository if I know the name. But what if I don't know the name? I can go on this explore tab and I can explore different repositories here. But what if I want to get something on a special topic? For that, I will go to the topic here and I can search, like I have to search for Android. Okay, so I will see all the projects that are made for the Android. Like there is Flutter, there is free programming books, okay, there is awesome hacking. There are a lot of repositories you can find and you can contribute to them or you can use their code in your own project. But you need to see their license. If their license allows you to copy the code from their repositories or not. There is also a trending tab. Here you can see all the trending GitHub repositories that are available. So as you can see here in the repository section, we have a lot of things like Learn to Code, Made in India, there are game engines. These are all the collection that has a number of repositories. Here we have something called events. These are all the events that are organized by the GitHub or some other members of the GitHub. So this is GitHub sponsor. These are the repositories that you can sponsor. So if you sponsor some repositories, it will show on your project. Okay, so you can pay some money in order to motivate the developer of the project. Okay, now we have seen how to find open source project. Now we'll look at what is GitHub Desktop and what is GitHub CLI. So from here, you can download the GitHub Desktop version for your PC. You can download it either for Windows or for macOS. It is not available yet for Linux. So here you can get all the changes and you can do all the major tasks using graphical user interface rather than using command line. In command line, you need to write a lot of codes. So rather than using command line, you can prefer to use GitHub Desktop. Still, a lot of people use command line because they are much familiar with that and they are more expert at that. So I will open GitHub Desktop and I will show what a GitHub Desktop look like. So this is a GitHub Desktop. So here you can see there are a lot of repositories here. There are some private repositories and some public repositories. Here I can see all the history of that, what changes we have made. We can change the repositories from here and we can just commit this one by typing here the summary and here the description. Commit to the main and I can post the origin. So now what is cloning? So the cloning is a process of downloading files to local system. So we can click here on the clone repositories and then we can select any of the repositories that I already have forked, or I can use some URL and I can type here and then click on clone and it will clone on my system. You can do every major task from the menu bar at the top, like from your repository you can push, pull, or you can remove the repositories, or you can view this repository on a GitHub. You can also open this repository into command prompt if you prefer using command line, or you may need to use command line in some cases if you face some issue with the graphical user interface. So you can do it from here. You can also change the repository setting from here. Like here is the URL of the repository. Suppose the URL is changed, you can update from here. Ignored file. So what are ignored file? Ignored files are the files that you don't want to push on the GitHub. The reason for not pushing is that some file may be your operating system specific, or they may be build tools, so you don't need to push that. So you need to exclude that. From branch, here you can create a new branch, or you can compare to branch, you can merge many branches, or you can do create pull request and other things. From view tab, you can see changes, histories and repository. So now we have seen GitHub Desktop. uh, we are not going to see what is command line and what are the commands that we are going to use, as they are already available on a lot of videos that you can watch, and you can also see the documentation for that. Now some live practices. So now we will going to create a repository and we will push that on GitHub. To create a repository, click on the plus button and a new repository, and we are going to name this repository, or we can do it from here, or we can also do it from GitHub Desktop. So we have already done this one, so I will now see how to do it from GitHub Desktop. Okay, I will create a folder here. I will name the folder GitHub demo project. Okay, I will add some file here. Let's say I want to make a website, so I will add here index.html.css. Okay, that's fine. Now I need to push this code to GitHub. So all these things will be done by GitHub Desktop. So how to do that? Just drag your folder over the GitHub Desktop and then click on the create a repository. Name the repository, write a description. After writing description, you can initialize this repository with a readme. You can add some git ignore, like you can ignore some files, and you can also add a license. Now you can publish this repository. You want to keep it private or you want to keep it public. So let me do it public, and then I can click on publish. Okay, so now this repository is created. Suppose we want to see it on the GitHub. Okay, so we'll click on repository and then view on GitHub. This will open in browser and it will show on GitHub. So these are all the files that we have, and this is our repository. What if we make some changes and we want to commit? I wrote some random text and then I click on save. Okay, now you can see here are some changes in index.css. As you can see, there is a plus sign and there is a green bar here. Plus indicates that I have added some text here, and the minus indicates that I have removed something from here. When there is a minus, there will be a red color here. Okay, so here you can write the description, what you have done, and then you can commit here. And then you need to push it to the origin. Pushing this will make it available for everyone, those who have forked the repository. So now you can see that I have updated this, and here is the name of what I have updated, and here is the time when I have updated this. Now we will look at how to integrate GitHub in VS Code, and we'll also look at what is online code space. So first I would like to show you online code space. So to open online code space, you just need to click on the period button on the keyboard. After clicking on the period button, it will say that it is setting up the editor. And after the editor is set up, you can see all the files here, and all the files will be updated here. Okay, so here are all the files. Here is index.css, here is index.html, here is license. It is similar to Visual Studio Code, but it's in the browser, and you can make changes and you can commit from here. This is called online code space. So this is Visual Studio Code on my local system. To download the extensions comes along with this, but you can also download the extension from here. You can search for the GitHub and then you can download this one, GitHub. Okay, after downloading that, you will get something like your source control. You can open a folder, open an existing folder, or you can clone a repository, or you can create a repository from here. Now we'll talk about what is Google Summer of Code. It is also called GSOC as a abbreviation. Google Summer of Code is a global event organized by Google. It is organized to promote open source community. It is an online program and it focuses on bringing new contributors to the open source development world. GSOC contributors come from different regions of the world and they work with open source organization on a 12 more than 12 weeks. They will work in the guidance of mentors. The mentors will be allotted by the open source parent organization. There are also some other events, like there is Hacktoberfest, there are some code jams, and there are some game jams. You can also participate in different open source projects by visiting Dare to Compete. It's a site which provide different type of events. Now, probably the question would be, how can you ask questions and related queries about open source projects and open source contribution? Or to ask this query, either you can comment below or you can contact me directly. through Discord. The invite link to the Discord, I will post it in the description. That's all, and thank you.